Xochitl Mora with the City of McAllen. Welcome to your McAllen Minutes. If you missed the McAllen City Commission meeting of May 27th, don't worry. Here's a brief recap of what was discussed. McAllen Mayor Pro Tem Victor Sebi Haddad called the meeting of the McAllen City Commission to order, and after the Pledge of Allegiance, District 4 Commissioner Rudy Castillo gave the invocation. The meeting began with a proclamation read by District 2 Commissioner Joaquin J.J. Zamora, joined by McAllen Fire Chief Juan Angel Gloria and members of the McAllen Fire Department and Lone Star EMS in honor of Emergency Medical Services Week. Emergency medical service personnel are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, provide access to quality emergency care, dramatically improving the survival and recovery rate of those. And now, a workshop of the McAllen City Commission. All workshops are open to the public in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. These workshops allow for detailed staff presentations.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's City Commission workshop. First item, any questions to staff regarding our next meeting?
None, Mayor.
Questions? No. Item number 2.
Mayor, the City Commission requested an update on traffic signal maintenance and operations, so we have Marlene Garza here to make that presentation for you. Go ahead, Marlene.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Commission. Just a presentation on the signal operations and maintenance for the City of McAllen. We'll go ahead and start off with the 2018 traffic bond, which was our last large-scale effort citywide to improve a lot of our infrastructure on all our roadways. The traffic signal bond focused on 3 components. The first component was new traffic signal cabinets and controllers at major corridors. The second component was communications to these signals at these corridors to facilitate communication to the signals remotely, so we would be able to respond quickly and also be able to detect any failures a lot quicker than if we waited for a call to come in and let us know that a certain intersection was flashing. The last component was the signal timing study, which capitalized on the first component and the second component, and it kind of tied everything together. Through the signal timing study, we were able to remotely input our timings, also change them, also see how the signal is functioning itself if we feel the need to at any time. When we talk about cabinets and controllers, the cabinet itself is the housing for the electrical components of the traffic signal. The controller is what controls the electrical component and tells the electrical components when to turn on the yellow light, the green light, how long to hold it, when to switch from a regular mode to an emergency mode if a train is coming, things like that. Another really key point in having these new traffic signals was the introduction of an Ethernet port where we were going to be able to communicate to the signal. Cabinets and controllers that we focused on were along 11 major corridors, 5 east-west, which are on the map, and 5 north-south that are also on the map. These corridors were also the corridors that were going to be timing under the signal timing component of the traffic bond. We were able to purchase 98 of these traffic signal cabinets and controllers with the bond. The traffic staff worked really hard to secure the other 52 intersections to make sure we maximize the investment under the traffic bond. The second component, which was communication, it originally started off as fiber construction. As we were going through the coordination of the fiber construction, especially along Ware Road, 23rd Street, some portions of some east-west corridors, we did notice that there was limited right-of-way or limited area available for us to go in there with our city equipment to install the fiber. Also along these corridors, especially along the state ones, we had to get permits, and we're also competing against Texas Gas and other outside utilities that we were apprehensive of running into and costing the city a lot of money in regards to when we hit a line, we have to pay for that repair. So fortunately for us, around that time, when we were still trying to continue the coordination for communications, the city, through the pandemic, had the Wi-Fi efforts all around the city, and the IT department brought up the great idea of using the city Wi-Fi to be able to provide access to our traffic signal cabinets and controllers, and we were able to get about 60% of our intersections online. So that was a big takeaway from that Wi-Fi project, in which not only did it serve the community, but it also helped us capitalize on that second component of the bond that we really wanted to maximize, which was communication. The last component is the signal timing study. We were able to get timings for 162 intersections. We only had 155 on contract, but our consultant was kind enough to help us out with some additions while we were going through the timing. Some examples of those were the Second and Yuma intersection that was added, the Bicentennial intersections, Auburn, Frontera, Northgate, Sprague. He was able to help us also get those as close to connected as we could with all the other corridors, not having lots of data and volumes, but we were able to try to get them connected as much as possible. Some other takeaways or recommendations was the use and addition of the flashing yellow arrow to improve traffic flow. When we started with the signal timing study, we only had 2 intersections with the flashing yellow arrow system. We've now have a lot more, especially all the improvements that were done along Nolana. All those 13 intersections are all flashing yellow arrows. In the beginning, we did have some resistance to the flashing yellow arrow, but we've seen through the years that the community has bought in and seen the benefit to the flashing yellow arrows, and so that's something that's going to help us a lot with reducing congestion. The next recommendation was a table that was given to us with right turn lane additions at particular intersections, also to improve traffic flow, to get more flow through the intersection and be able to get those people that need to make right turns out of the intersection. And then the last recommendation from our consultant was, in order to maximize efficiency, to have our signal timing be updated on a 3 to 5 year basis. We are at the 3-year mark, and we are looking at future projects or potential funding to secure funding for the signal timing study, because it does cost money. Some of the takeaways, some of the things we're working on a day-to-day basis is we're working on the installation of backplates, little things we can do now that don't cost a lot of money. These backplates are the black borders that you see around the traffic signal. It brings more visibility not only to the intersection, but the signal itself, improves safety. Also, we're adding, while we're at it, new traffic signs, making sure we upgrade them. They're more visible during the day and at night. Also, things we're looking at is upgrading some of our pedestrian signals, especially along schools and areas with high volumes of pedestrian traffic, to audible PED systems. Currently, you have the the orange hand and the white man walking. These new audible PED systems have better lighting. Sometimes we even have countdowns, but more than anything, they're important because they talk to people who are visually impaired, and they'll let them know it's safe to cross Main Street or whatever street that they're needing to cross. The other thing about the system itself is that it has texturized button, so it lets the person know where they're crossing, or they can feel the arrow to know where they're crossing. We're also in the testing phase for detection. I know detection, we mostly have the loop system, which is low maintenance, but it can be very costly when you have 217 intersections. But we're looking at trying to figure out what's the best option for McAllen when it comes to radar and video detection with AI capabilities. So we're in the testing phase. These systems aren't cheap. You're looking at $16,000 an intersection, up to $32,000 an intersection. So the traffic department is trying to be as selective as they can with the data that we have, which right now we don't have a lot of data, but the data that we do have, we're trying to make the most of it in order to be able to select these corridors moving forward. All these needs and wants, of course, we're looking grants to be able to secure this infrastructure because it is very costly. We're looking at the Highway Safety Improvement Plan, which is the program that helped us fund Nolana, all of Nolana. We also did learn last month that we were able to secure funding for 2nd Street, so that's another corridor that we're able to get new heads. The one on Nolana is a little bit more involved, especially because it's along the hike and bike trails, so some of the components we added were more pedestrian related, which we're very excited about. We're also looking at the RGB MPO with funding through Category 10, which is the Congestion Management Program. We think that we'll be able to at least submit several projects to see which one gets funded to be able to get new infrastructure at the signals. The Safe Streets for All will help us with the Vision Zero programs that we have under our plan. Again, that will focus on signal improvements as well any bike and ped signage or any trails. That's a little bit harder to secure, but it is a pot of money that we do have. And the last is the Transportation Alternatives Program, which you can capitalize either on the under Vision Zero projects or traffic signal projects. So we're working on a lot of things regarding signals. Excited to see what projects are funded, and we're also trying to work on developing a plan for the future. And this is actually one of our Category 10 requests, is a traffic signal maintenance improvement program that will help us determine every 5 years what kind of CIP projects would be good for us to tackle. And I'm sure signal timing will probably be one of those. At this time, I'll entertain any questions that you might have regarding the information I presented.
I may have missed it. The new detection system, what would that do?
The new detection systems have a lot of capabilities. They can pick up data if it's just radar, but if they have video, they have AI capabilities, or we're just able to access the intersection and possibly watch out for, they're called hit or miss. Of course, those systems are a little bit more expensive. The radar is a little bit less expensive, so we're trying to outweigh the pros and cons for each system.
What does it do?
Yes, it detects, and it collects it detects the vehicles at the intersection.
That's
and
what I want to hear. And then it monitors or changes the light, the signal, or what?
Yes, it talks to the controller to let it know somebody's waiting.
Okay.
Or active at the ped, somebody press the button.
Or maybe it's a long queue, right? And then maybe it lets the signal
Yes,
be
no to
green
change.
a little longer?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now I understand. Sorry. Thanks.
I think even the video might be a little bit more costly, but safety-wise, it makes a lot of sense because you can track, any kind of a problem that we had, you track it with the video where the vehicle went and how and what time and stuff like that. So, I think that safety-wise, to invest in that is not a bad idea.
Your department was formed when? For public consumption? The department?
In January.
In
Of
January.
this year.
Okay, so basically in around 5 months, you concentrated yourself and your department to all of the traffic operations.
Yes.
And we were very conscious of one of the obviously asks about from our residents is traffic and the traffic problems, and how do we try to move our vehicles traffic in a more efficient way. And so we are only 5 months into this department, and I just want to tell everyone out there that we will take, and we have gotten many, many requests from our residents. We will look at things, and I feel that we're doing the right thing. We're really being a little more proactive, and I like what I'm seeing, because I have been relaying to the city manager and the assistant city managers, some of the concerns of traffic, and I'm getting good response.
Thank you.
And it's coming through your department.
Thank you.
Listen, we can't give up to resistance. Yellow lights. A lot of people may not understand it, but they are fantastic. If you don't, you gotta learn.
And if there could be some type of education, that we could throw out some
Commissioner,
education.
one of the things that we're trying to do more frequently is put informational videos out on the web, highlighting projects, concepts from all the departments. I know engineering has worked on a bunch of them. Michelle has worked with Eduardo to do that. I know Marlene, she's volunteering right now, would love to do some educational videos on how the intersections work and to take advantage of the yellow turn signals.
No, yellow turns and right-hand turns. Now, the only issue I kind of see is with the AI type of stuff. Unless we put them all over the place, how effective will they be if they're in one
Not the other.
intersection and not in the next 3, 4, 5? I mean, how would that work?
Yes, so in order to get the most out of an AI system, it is most effective if they're all
coordinated.
one right after another, so they can connect and
That kind of leads
communicate.
to the other question, should we try to do something now or try to procure as much as possible later on? Because I think that if we do parts, I mean, it may be effective in that intersection, but not the next 2, 3. We may be spinning our wheels.
And we're currently working on that, trying to select a corridor that checks all the boxes for making sure that we are maximizing. Let's say there's a lot of congestion along said corridor. Well, maybe that's the one we need to focus on.
The and to also clarify for the public, we've had a traffic department for a long time. It just became independent
Right.
on its own 5 months ago.
That's right.
On the, and you said it during one of the slides that's on here, but how many total intersections do we have in the city?
We have a total of 217.
And 162 are connected to sort of the, let's say, the newest part of our system?
162 are interconnected.
Are interconnected, correct. So the other ones still have to be on-site, manually adjusted, like they've got a schedule that they stick to no matter what?
We don't necessarily have to have them connected. Some of them are far away. I'll give you an example. We have one on International Parkway in Honduras that's not connected to anything else, but we still maintain it and we still have communication to that signal, so we're able to troubleshoot it.
Okay,
I'm
and
not
then
sure.
the cabinets and controllers, even though they're only on these sort of 4, 5 east and west, and then I think 6 north and south, they connect throughout to all the other streets and stuff, right? I mean, or are all 162 on these 11 corridors?
They were prioritized on the major corridors. The additional, or from the 155 to the 162, were additions along those corridors. So they're also interconnected. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, and I think I was one of the ones that had asked for it because we had publicized a good amount of the system as we were installing it. I know the install and all the legwork and energy and fiber and all that took a long time. And then we had a lot of delays with the study because of COVID, and we wanted to wait until we had what we call normalized traffic patterns. And so now that a lot of that has occurred, what's happened is we wonder if the public's asked, well, what's been our ROI, right? And the way we have a lot of metrics, I think, for ROI, efficiency, being able to access it all, the capabilities, the technology, everything, all of that. But their main source of ROI is going to be how they feel it, and if they feel it has improved. Is there any way that we, on a mass scale, can study if traffic patterns have improved with the new timing signals, or is it just new timing signals for the same amount of time? You know what I mean? To get to, do we have any data that shows that the $750,000 spent on a study, all the adjustments made that to some extent looks like would be sort of relatively maintained in that programming for a 3 to 5 year basis actually resulted in improved traffic flow, I guess is my question.
Well,
I know
that
it's
was
hard.
confusing.
I know it's hard, but I mean, that's the main question we get, right? And
Yeah.
traffic's become a bigger and bigger.
It's hard to tell because COVID threw off a lot of our plan significantly. So when we collected data to where we are now, there's already just an increase in volumes. And then also prior to COVID, we also had less volumes. So it's a bit difficult to do, but I'm
Yeah,
sure we can
and of
look
course,
into.
growth, right? Growth in new areas creates new traffic, new roadways, they shift traffic. So I know it's very, very difficult. I'm not, wouldn't expect it to be something simple. But I do think also that probably AI is going to be the future with some type of video, so that the traffic studies are done to create the timings. From what I've seen a little bit online, is that AI with video in a holistic system, to the mayor's point, right? It's got to be planned. Like, you've got to sort of make sure that you encompass the city as a whole, or at least major parts of it all connected. That AI could study it itself and make auto decisioning, right? For timing and patterns, different times of the day, different times of the year, school time, all of that. So in the long run, something like that could eliminate having to do fairly costly studies and then having to do time-consuming adjustments, right? So I do think looking at AI capabilities or companies would be something worthwhile, especially at 16,000 on the low end for radar. You're talking about 2.6. Said about 30,000 on the high end, probably for AI. You're talking about 4.8, 4.9. Probably a fairly worthwhile investment when you get to the point that you're ready to do that. I think it would be
And
worthwhile.
Commissioner, you're hitting it exactly, on the head. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm talking about. Because I don't think we could do something partially. We're going to do it. And
Do
if
it
it's
right.
feasible and if we can afford it, I think I can find a way.
No pressure.
Marlene,
I just hope AI doesn't talk to the box. I hope it actually talks to the humans.
And
Marlene.
that's the issue, because, we keep on changing, but now artificial intelligence, I would even venture to say it's more intelligent than me.
I
Knows more than I do. But it's incredible what's going on now. If we can do that, I know we'll be the first in the valley, but if it improves us. Now, that's the initial outlay. What about monthly? We know?
Monthly, like, what are we working on
Well,
monthly?
Let's say initial outlay of 4 million or whatever it may be. What about services, or how would that be paid monthly?
I'm not sure I understand the
I'm
question.
not really sure, but I
I'm not
can-
sure I understand the question, Mayor.
Well, we don't just put it out there and we're done.
I think what they're looking to see is what are your maintenance costs and your ongoing,
Oh, there you
your
go.
ongoing operational costs on a monthly basis to maintain the signals.
I don't have that figure, but I can
We can get
back
that
to
for you.
on that, yeah.
I have one more question.
Yes.
So if you were to reduce everything with regards to the signalization, what's the prime objective?
Improve traffic flow and reduce congestion.
And what is the metric that you use?
Right now, we don't have very good metrics, and that's what we're working to seek funding. Is one of our plans is to have a consultant help us capture data and have a plan moving forward, so we don't have.
Like, so for
a lot
me, in my mind, which is very simple, it's like a little hamster rolling with a little wheel here. It's like you take Bicentennial, right? 107 and Bicentennial Airport. What is the metric that a person should be able, within a reasonable speed, at a reasonable time, given the amount of traffic conditions and people living in 2025 to get from 107 and Bicentennial and the airport, right? I grew up in a time where I lived off 4 Mile Line and 23rd and got to the mall in 15 minutes. Obviously, that's not really feasible now. But what I would like to see, along with what the mayor is getting at, is we've got to be able, I mean, are we always going to have it? I mean, we're a city of 150,000. You know, when we become a city of 200,000, I don't know if using the 15-minute metric is going to be the same for a city of 200,000, right? You know, it's just not
So
feasible.
it's different because you have 200,000 people, but you have how many visitors?
Right,
daily?
and so that-
the
exactly.
traffic,
Yeah,
the
maybe
traffic
150,
increase,
we're
you have to,
250 during
there's a lot of
Christmas.
things. It can be by night.
By time.
by
Seasonal.
day, you know, and
Right, it
exactly,
could also be
peak
seasonal.
hours. It's a different.
That's kind of
metrics.
what the ROI that I was kind of speaking of, right? How do we, what's the metric? How do we report back what this has actually resulted in?
Right.
But it brought up a point when JJ's asking sort of a certain pathway, right, from 107 to the airport. I wonder if a vendor or company like Google produces reports for municipalities, because in thinking about it, the amount of data they've collected on drive times, right? I mean, you can, if you look up Google right now and say, how long is it going to take me to get to the courthouse? It's probably going to be accurate within 30 seconds. And you can look at tomorrow morning, if I need to get to the airport by 8,
Yep.
what time do I need to leave? And
Leave,
Google
right.
will tell you, meaning that
It's-
the troves of data they have is probably something that we could, maybe they've got a vendor side that will sell or aggregate it in a way that we could say, hey, if you go back 5 years, what's our traffic patterns look like? What does our timeframes look like? I'm not sure, but obviously there's companies already collecting it basically through the cell phones. And so maybe there's someone out there where the data already exists and we don't
Yes,
have
it
to, we don't have to measure 1,000 vehicles driving the same route at 8 a.m., 2 p.m., 6 p.m., right, to kind of create,
Right.
to recreate the data. I'm
Yeah,
not-
and
I'm
also
sure-
every major street, whether it be north-south, and particularly the more difficult ones, east-west, is like Bicentennial. I think that's a very good example where you reduce the amount of driveways and crossing intersections to keep it moving, but you can't compare Bicentennial with 23rd, right? I
Or
mean,
10.
many more intersections
Or
compared to
10.
Bicentennial. I mean, if we could redo all our streets, we do it all like Bicentennial.
Yeah, Commissioners, Mayor, I would love to think we would be inventing the wheel on coming up with a model on how you measure the efficiency of traffic flow. But I'm sure we can come up with a metric out there and rank ourselves.
Agreed.
Thank you, Marlene.
Thanks, Marlene. Y'all do a great
Good job.
Well, thank you, and I guess we'll measure success when the traffic intersection at Auburn and 23rd is less than 15 minutes. That one is-
I was wondering if we were going to get through this presentation without
Without
mentioning
making a
that one.
I always have to take a right, do a U-turn, and then go. Next item, we have presentation on,
Colleen?
on schoolyard forest.
Yeah, this is an exciting one.
Got it. Thank you, Mayor and Commission, for the opportunity to give an update on our McAllen ISD partnership. When we opened in 2006, we coined the phrase, "A mansion with a mission," working to connect children to nature, to really grow healthier, happier, and smarter children. And we've grown our activities with MISD. We started with a third grade contract. We now get every fifth grade, every seventh grade, and every high school science AP. So close to 4,000 students come on a bus as part of their environmental curriculum programming. And that number is doubled if you count all the other school districts that we serve. We've also grown tiny forests, 2 on school campuses. The first one, Cathy Middle School, planted in 2023, and the second one, Sam Houston. One thing that you can see on every school campus is a significant amount of asphalt and a significant amount of lawn that is mowed and blowed and watered. So there's so many other beneficial uses of this lawn, and one of those is to create these natural environments. And you can see from Sam Houston in just 1 year, the difference of this tiny forest. And then thanks to Texas A&M Forest Service, we received a $2.7 million grant to put in 7 schoolyard forests, an amazing grant. 4 other districts in the region also received the grant, PSJA, Laredo, and then a foundation out of Dallas, Texas Trees, is working with Donna and Mercedes. And so the competitive nature we want ours to be the best and the strongest. The goal is to improve environment, education, and mental health for the students. We're in the design development stage, and Andrew Hefner is going to share those momentarily. We'll move to construction documents, bid and award, and then the construction timeline is sometime in 2027 to finish all 7 of these schools. We're getting a lot of calls from schools asking if they can have a schoolyard campus and how did we pick those. And actually, we didn't pick those. The grantor picked those. They used a CJES tool. It's called Climate and Economic Justice Screening Tool. And basically, it was based on low tree canopy and income of the area. And so their tool brought these 7 to the top. The average tree canopy on our schools is about 11%. And one of the goals of the grant is to bring each of these campuses up to 30% tree canopy. We did a survey ourselves on the heat factor of over 100 degrees in the 1940s was 12 days. Can you guess what the heat factor today is over 100 degrees? We're talking 70, 80 days annually. So trees are critical, not just for our school campuses, but for our parks and our cities, to cool our cities and to beautify our cities. So outdoor learning campuses is more than just a tiny forest. It provides a ton of benefits. And for every dollar invested in greening, operating, and maintaining our schoolyards, we're tripling our investment. And there's a lot of surveys that show that it's 4 or 5 times your investment if you include the environmental benefits. So districts that have implemented this program across their district school-wide, they've seen increased enrollment, improved attendance, which is all related to dollars, boost academic performance, improved social emotional development. They've seen a 50% decrease in bullying on campuses just from the addition of these outdoor school campuses. And of course, increased physical activity and creativity. So we started with the Hefner design team. Basically, we did 7 mini charrettes. We went to every school campus. We walked their grounds. We were there to listen and to facilitate. The principals know their campus. The teachers know their campus. They know what they want. And we left with a drawing from every campus. So we already had a rough conceptual drawing from every campus. And then we invited the full group to Quinta Mazatlan for an afternoon workshop. Dr. Gutierrez opened the luncheon. Lorena Garcia, in charge of business and operations, is our contact at the school district. She's absolutely amazing. We involved instructional leadership, human resources, police department, security, safety. Everyone were key stakeholders in the design of these plans. Parks and Recreation, thank you, Danny. SADA-E, Children in Nature Network, the Hefner Design Team, and Texas A&M also presented. So every campus is receiving 8 elements. A tiny forest is just one of those. Trails, interpretive educational signage written for the age of the students, budding botanists, a tiny library, natural play, a cultural wiki-up. A wiki-up is a nomadic Native American shelter, so bringing our natural and cultural history to the campuses. We're really excited about an outdoor amphitheater we're calling a Learning Hill. When we were meeting with these principals, everything took place in the cafeteria. Like everything took place in the cafeteria. So how amazing would it be to have these learning hills where they could come out in the morning and have 25 kids to 250 kids outdoors. And then we have a significant amount of money also for workshops and teacher training and writing environmental curriculum. So in order to get these campuses from 11% tree canopy to 30% tree canopy, we're using 100% native plants. Our growers are very excited about all these grants that give them the opportunity to grow these unique native plants that you can't go into, let's say, a big box store and purchase. So some of the beauties, coma, cedar elm, tenaza, Texas ebony, these will all be featured on the school campuses, creating a living science lab, like a mini Quinta Mazatlan, on each of these 7 campuses. In addition to our native shrubs, again, representing the unique biodiversity, in the bottom left-hand corner, Turk's cap. Hour later, you plant those, you're going to have hummingbirds, guayacán, fiddlewood, just amazing species. We are not the city of oaks. we are a city of Texas ebonies and comas and retamas. We have such amazing, unique biodiversity, and to have this opportunity to grow these species and put these on school campuses is just terrific. So the steps to success, funding went awesome, planning went awesome. We are in the design stage and presenting the designs to you today, and then tomorrow we present to the MISD Board of Trustees the design concepts as well, followed by construction, and then operations and maintenance. That is critical to the success of these. And thanks to Parks and Recreation, they will be managing the amenities that fall in the city school park zone, and they'll be amending the MOUs addressing those. And then the amenities that fall in the school zone need to be maintained by MISD. And they are going to need to write a new scope of work for their staff and their vendors to address these initial amenities, whereas beforehand they may be mowing and blowing, and now they're going to be doing X, Y, Z. But it's really important, number 5, the operations and maintenance of these. And again, leveraging the maintenance expenses to the benefits for the students, highlighting again increased enrollment, attendance, academic performance, social emotional development, creativity, as well as the environmental benefits, stormwater management, critical, reducing air pollution, habitat for pollinators, cooling their campuses, critical, and then beautifying the campus and the neighborhoods. One of the requirements of the grant were to have schools that had these school park areas, so the neighborhoods would also benefit in addition to the students. So in terms of equity, there's 7 elementary schools getting the WOW package, and what about the 11 remaining elementary schools? So I'm happy to announce we just received a grant from Children, Nature, and Network, a $50,000 planning grant that will allow us to hire a landscape architect to do conceptual plans for the 11 remaining elementary schools, come up with a rough budget. And the timing is amazing. MISD is presently updating their master plan, so it's going to be our recommendation that they add these 11 schools to their master plan, whether it be a short-term goal or a long-term goal. It's important that this become part of their culture, and this isn't just a one-off. This isn't just, you know, we got this grant, but now let's go back to the way we were operating. So this is exciting in terms of equity for all the elementary schools. And now I'd like to bring up our landscape architect, Andrew Hefner Design Team, to highlight, again, the features on each of these, and then the 7 schoolyard designs.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us in today. To piggyback on what Colleen said, there's a tremendous amount of data that we've gone through within meeting the individual school teams, plus managing the grant requirements, budgets, et cetera, to what you'll see today. These are our main components that you'll see involved in each and every school. Trying to standardize the material from a maintenance perspective, trying to standardize the amenities that each school gets to have a little bit of balance and equity. But also what you'll see is each one of these elements are then implemented into the school based on their specific requirements, the area that they wanted to use, et cetera. So taking some standard items and then creating some custom designs at each location.
Next.
Yes, please.
All right.
We'll start with Alvarez. The heavy green line on that plan is what separates the city school park from the actual MISD limits of their maintenance and management. So north of this green line or above the green line is our city school park at Alvarez, and then south is inside the actual fence line. What you see these are becoming more construction-related plans, so they're not maybe as flashy as what we might have shown as a concept plan, but all the data is actually in there, as well as the best location for all of these elements. As part of the schematic design process, we individually presented to each one of the individual school teams and updated the design development plans, which we're looking at today, to include their wishes. At Alvarez, the Pocket Forest Trail, Tiny Forest, etc., has a very specific location on each one of these sites. At each site, we walked the campus with Campus PD, we looked at camera locations, etc. So they have a kind of a little bit of a request that it's a little bit in the distance, it doesn't block any specific camera locations, etc. So we're utilizing some existing decomposed granite trail in that northwest corner, building up around that, some of the existing trees to do our Pocket Forest Trail. Farther down and closer to the school, where we have a little bit more of the hands-on elements, which is going to be our budding botanist, our nature reading nook, a natural playground, as well as the learning hill. Kind of all centered around the existing elements and where the kids are already concentrated. There's also a small playground here on the bottom that is for the Head Start program. So some of the schools have the Head Start program, but that playground has no shade. So really looking at the individual needs of each school. This site, as well as two other sites, has a significant reduction in the blacktop, also known as asphalt play area, that are left over from the 50s. Or 60s or 70s or whenever. So that's part of the Greening Schoolyards of America push, is to take areas that aren't green, make them green, improving stormwater management and cooling the play surface that the kids are working on, and you'll see that here. So here we're eliminating half of that asphalt. It still is usable when there's some rainy days and things like that, so we're doing a real hybrid solution here. And there'll be a series of interconnecting decomposed granite trails, etc. So we have a really nice flow through Alvarez. I think on the next one we have some a little bit closer. So we really managed and looked at each school, the traffic flow, how the kids exit, where the kids stage for fire drills. I mean, we really have a lengthy checklist about where are the best places for all of these elements. So we have a budding botanist here, which is close to an existing hand wash station. We have a nature reading nook that's close enough to the school that the kids feel comfortable under the shade of an existing tree. So you'll see those themes kind of throughout at each site. Next, we're at Fields. Fields is a challenge. The new school was built, I think, while the old school was there, and then it's a challenging site. You got Hygeia right to the north. I mean, it's really an urban campus. So we're trying to do as much as we can to provide the grant elements while also screening Hygeia, providing some additional sense of enclosure with the trees. We have a great existing playground. There's the green line again. To the right is the school. To the left is the city's maintenance limits. Right?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go back one
Right.
second, Colleen. So we're starting at the top. Right now, the kids just walk across the dirt to go from the cafeteria over to the green space. We're trying to build on spaces that the kids are already using, shade that already exists, to maximize the impact of our improvements. So there's an existing playground. Next to that is our natural playground, trying to have all the kids in a very similar location because they're all being watched by a certain number of teachers during recess. So really integrating all of those elements while adding the Pocket Forest Trail and Learning Hill to the west. We had considered removing the fence line down the middle. to make it a more cohesive space, but ran out of cash. So maybe in the next phase for that one.
We're gonna have to go quicker.
Houston. So Houston already has the tiny forest, so we wanted to make their natural playground much larger in order to kind of offset some of the funds that we would have used for the tiny forest. Budding botanist, learning hill, etc., closer to the building. Jackson's a really great school. It has built-in courtyards already. So we're truly trying to maximize the use of those outdoor spaces. They have some great tree stands. So you'll see in the north side, we have some improvements as well as south of the school. And the next one is an enlargement. Concentrating specific items like budding botanist, learning hill, nature reading nook inside that northern courtyard, great visibility all the way around, and then pocket forest trail and natural playground closest to where the existing playground, basketball court, etc. are. So, and then Roosevelt's another one of our schools where it has a large asphalt area here, which we're kind of sculpting into a type trail, it's called. It's also some additional space for picnicking. They also have a interior courtyard on the left-hand side where we're doing our standard budding botanists, etc. And then the number of these proposed tree symbols all relates to that 30% tree canopy. So the number of trees we're showing is the number that they need. Seguin's also exciting. We did something similar where the pocket forest trail is up in the northwest corner around an existing playground, existing shade canopy. And then this is basically an asphalt pad. There's nothing there. Next slide, please, Colleen. Here's where we're completely almost removing that asphalt, putting all of this great outdoor space for kids. There's a great stand of live oak trees, which will add some biodiversity to, still keeping some of the asphalt so the kids can get around. But overall, these are some of our little bit more exciting projects where we're removing that asphalt. And then finally, Wilson, another kind of urban community campus. They have this unused space on the north side of their campus where we are able to concentrate all of our items outside of the existing gym. They don't have a current trail to run around even for PE, and really concentrating all that area as well as screening the fence line because we anticipate OLS, I think, is doing some improvements in that area. And those are our current 7 schools. Like Colleen mentioned, we're in DD right now, school board tomorrow, and then we're at construction documents this summer.
Very nice.
Any questions? That's beautiful. Actually, I think we all know we all love trees, shrubbery, everything. I've seen some of the projects that have been done, and I can't wait. Make sure we have before and after pictures.
Yeah, wow.
Yes. That was
That's
pretty cool.
amazing.
So.
Any questions?
Mayor, I just want to make the comment that this is a tremendous benefit to the school district, and it is something that the city has endeavored to make a real mission. It's just one of the ways that the city supports our schools and our children, and so we really commend Colleen and her team over there for helping us do that.
Yeah, I'd like for the surrounding community to be able to walk it
That was really important,
be participating,
right.
you know, in that. That's the most important.
Yeah, I love the fact that the other cities are also doing it. Don and some of you said it's very important. We're always kind of the example. They're doing it. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you
for
so
the
much.
opportunity.
We'll
Good job.
recess into executive session.
Good job. Good job. Good.
This concludes the workshop of the McAllen City Commission. Workshops are held every second and fourth Monday of the month, convening at 4 p.m. at the McAllen City Commission Chamber on the 3rd floor at McAllen City Hall.